I would just do that for about 20 seconds or so.
Right.
Click around.
Hi! How you doing? Welcome, 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 mateys, to the Gaming Galleon. I am Captain Raz, and I could not be happier to come back to port and pick you up and send us off to another adventure among the Silicon Seas. We've got a lot on our plate today, so let's get started. First of all, we're going to be I'm going to be giving you a question, a bit of a story where you have to determine, really who's the shady guy in this situation. We're also going to be playing a very fun summer game called Tubin for the Game Boy Color. We'll get into that later. We've also got a lot, my mistake, we've also got some booty that we're going to be getting into, and for you Pokemon fans out there, I think you're going to be excited about that. And we've also got our Mailbag segment coming up. So, lots to do, and let's get started. So last week, after our voyage, I set sail to my parents' place for the weekend, and they live in the state over from here, and they're about 2.5 hours away. So whenever I head out, I always like to stop in small little towns in the Midwest hunting for booty. And it's interesting when you're driving. Is it interstate? I don't think that's right. When you're driving from state to state, what kinds of establishments you can run into, because every town is different. Here in Indianapolis, you can pretty much shake a tree and find a retro video game, and generally for a pretty good price. But that's not how it is in every town, and I'm sure you know that. So, and that can be, not just state to state. That can be just one town to the next. So you never really know. That's why it's exciting to pull into these ports and see what you can find. So there's one place that I like to go to, and today we're going to be talking about two different places and how different they can be to try and find games. The first place I pulled into is one of kind of a franchise. They have a number of different stores here in the Midwest, and because of that, they're usually all kind of networked as to what kind of prices they're going by. Now this, usually goes store to store. Sometimes these stores can raise their prices or lower them depending on where they are and who's running it. But in this case, this place has been pretty good to me. So I always stop there on my way in. And I was looking around. I didn't find anything crazy, but I did find two games that I wanted. And first one is Pro Wrestling for the Sega Master System. The Sega Master System. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Sega Genesis system, which is basically the Super Nintendo equivalent, the 16-bit Sega system. But some people don't know about the Sega Master System. This is basically the system that Sega had out when the Nintendo Entertainment System was out. And Nintendo basically, held the entire pie when it came to video games back then. So a lot of people didn't have this, including myself. Since then, I've been able to find a machine and a modest amount of these games. So if I can find them, I usually pick them up. And to be honest, most of the common ones are actually reasonably priced. But here's the thing. And you open these up, they're pretty much like a Genesis game. And there's a manual. Manuals are very important in this era because, these games couldn't hold much. When it came to story, you'd basically maybe have like some opening text rolling in to tell you the story, and that's really about it. So it's always nice to have the manual. You may want to know the story. You may not, playing the game on its own, playing blind, you won't know what the power-ups mean when you pick them up. Is it a bad power-up? Is it good? Do you get a free guy at a certain score? Things like that. And that's what you learn when you go through a manual. Plus, sometimes there's neat artwork, or you'll get to learn the names of monsters. So it's always nice to have if you can get it. Usually I'm not a big just boxed guy when it comes to like Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I don't really care. As long as the game is there, that's enough. We're living in the internet age where you can basically look up pretty much any manual out there. So that's not a big issue. But in the case of the Sega Master games, wow. Now first of all, let's take a look at this. It's a grid, and basically, the kind of picture you would see somebody doodling in their high school notebook. And then when you're looking at the game, look at this. That's it. And it's not just pro wrestling. Okay, this is every game out there. And look at the spine. You can't even see what this game is. If you put it on a shelf like that, which is, usually how people put their loose carts, put it up on a shelf, you can't see what that is. So in the case of Sega Master System, boxes can be very important, because at least then you can put that guy on a shelf, okay? So I picked up Pro Wrestling, and it being a wrestling game, this was like $3, and that's nice. I'm usually not into sports games, but when you get into the 8-bit era, there were so few buttons, and the animations are so silly that if you sit down with a friend and play one of these, even though they're not technically impressive, you can get some laughs. And really, that's what video games are all about, aren't they? Having fun, having some laughs with a friend. So I picked up Pro Wrestling, and then they also had the Ninja. Now, this is actually a pretty competent game. For fans of the NES, maybe you played Commando by Capcom. It's essentially Commando, but with ninjas, okay? That's great stuff. And I'd actually kind of been on the lookout for this one. It's not that expensive of a game, but they had it at a pretty reasonable price, which is $7. And it had everything. It's got the manual. The disc is, or the cart's in great shape. So I was like, $7. It's a little high. Not really, but I just have, we've got enough games sitting under deck in the Galleon that we don't need to be picking up absolutely everything we ever wanted. So I usually like to be selective. But I decided I really wanted it, and I wasn't getting anything else except for Pro Wrestling, so it was like, okay, I'll go for it. So I bring it up to the counter, and this store being what it is, which is a franchise, and going by their own varying prices, he rung them up. He rung up Pro Wrestling for $3, and then he rung up the Ninja, and instead of the sticker saying $7, he says, okay, this is a $4 game now, $3.99. I'm like, really? That's great! Now, he didn't have to do that. It's not like the two of us are looking at this computer at the same time. And like I said, just because these places are franchised doesn't mean they aren't run differently. And, frankly, would I have been the wiser? Not really. So that's something you got to. So I was, happy. That's the kind of stuff that brings you back. Is when a store can do something like that for you, and it's a nice policy by them, because if the game were higher, if it wasn't $7 anymore, it was $10, they still would have charged me the $7. So it's kind of a win-win for the customer in this store. So that was nice. So I walked out with those two games. About an hour later, I reached my parents' town, which is kind of out in rural Illinois. So there's not a lot going on out there. This town probably has a GameStop and one other store that sells retro games. And it's the only store that would sell retro games, because GameStop doesn't, or at least buy them and sell them. So as a result, there's really not a lot of competition out here. And this being not a franchise store, this is a mom and pop run by someone. They're not run by these pricing charts, so they they can charge whatever they want on these games. And when you walk through here, you're looking at the shelves, and if you know the prices, sometimes you're like, wow, that seems way out of left field. And usually it's way out of left field, not in your favor. So but then again, now and then I find something falling through the cracks, so I take a look. And he's got this bucket sitting by the cash register where he puts in $2 really common handheld Game Boy Advance games, stuff like that. And there's maybe like 24 Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games in this bucket. So I'm looking through it, and I come across a game that probably shouldn't be in there. And that is Golden Sun, The Lost Age, for the Game Boy Advance. What this game basically was it was Game Boy Advance's very first original turn-based RPG made for the system. And this is the sequel to Golden Sun. Now, on top of it being an RPG, and it being a pretty competent RPG, it also is made by Nintendo. So you've got branding here, you've got quality here, and so obviously it's probably going to run you more than $2. So I decided to try and go for it. And the deal is it's $2 a game or $3 for 5. So I picked up this game, and I'm searching around, and he's talking to me like, he's parting the Red Sea and helping the Israelites out of Egypt. He's saying things like, oh yeah, I put some new games in the bucket there. They weren't selling in the cabinet. So yeah, there's some good games in there. There's Robotech, which is a good game, and for the Game Boy Advance. Oh, and check it out. There's Gem Masters in there. I'm like, Gem Masters? Like, what is that? It's like, oh, you haven't heard of it? It's a puzzle game. Oh yeah, it's got kind of a cult following. I'm like, okay, man. You know what? Puzzle games on a handheld, like, we're living in the mobile age here. Okay, I don't exactly need to go around searching for puzzle games. I don't know what kind of circulation this Gem Masters has, but somehow I feel like I'm going to be able to sleep tonight if I walk out, or if I walk out of the store without it. So I decided, I took Golden Sun, and I took Robotech. I actually have Robotech already, but it's a good shooter. So I took that too. I didn't see anything else in there. And then there was like a Game Shark cheat device for the Game Boy Color. And I paired those up, and I stacked them, and I stacked Golden Sun under Robotech in like a pile, and I slid them over to the counter. I'm like, okay, I'll take these for 5. And obviously he immediately pulls Robotech off and looks at this, and he's like, whoa, what's this doing here? Like, oh, is there a problem? It's like, yeah, this game's not supposed to be in there. I'm like, oh, really? He's like, oh, yeah, this is like a $27 game. And in my head, I'm like, $27? Wow, it's got to be a really special Game Boy Advance game to be $27. And as good of a game series as Golden Sun is, it's not $27. Okay, I can tell you that right now. This is maybe, at most, you're looking at somewhere around $20, and that's including the shipping. And that's to get it to your door, okay? And he's asking $27. That's out of the park, in my opinion. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if you can't do it. And he's in his computer. He moves right over to the computer like lightning speed. He's like, okay, hold on, I'm checking. And he looks it up, and he's like, oh, yeah, got another dollar, $27. Again, I don't know where he's getting this number, but I guarantee you, if you wanted to get Golden Sun The Lost Age today delivered to your door, you're not going to have to pay $27. And you're not going to have to look that hard. So, I said, okay, well, I'm not going for it then. That's cool. Sorry. And I do one more quick go around the store, and I'm leaving, and the door is right by the cash register, which is where he's standing. And as I'm approaching the door, I can see him sifting through the bucket, like rechecking. And he, he's like, oh, that was a real error on my part. So now he's rechecking, and as I'm on my way out, I'm like, dude, don't sweat it. There's no other gems in there. And then I walk out. So I present this question to you. you know, we take a look at these two stores here. We've got one store that it gives a good deal when they can, and we have another store that not necessarily fesses up to any mistakes they make, maybe. And then you got me, who's, you know, who kind of knows everything that's out there and is trying to be advantageous about it. Now, personally, I feel like, you know, if a store makes a mistake, and a lot of stores do this, if they mismark a price or whatever, they're like, well, you know, what can I do? That's what it's there for. In the case of this situation, you know, despite his error, he decided to stick to the price that he wanted originally. You know, I leave that to you. It's always a gray area when you're dealing with used video games. Who's being advantageous? Who's not? You know, really showing all their cards, and whether or not they should show their cards. Is it good to always go for a deal? Is it proper to you know, take the price that you intended in your head when you see the game, whether or not it's got a price on it? Because this whole place is priced, by the way. It's not one of those joints where it's like, well, bring it up to the counter, we'll see what we can do. It's not like that. So it seemed to me like, you know, if he had it in a $2 bin, that's what it's going for. So anyway, that's my story. Leading up to that, I wanted to touch on one more thing, which is I went home to my parents' place because we were going to a water park with the family for the weekend. And I don't know how many of you have been to water parks, but probably the first thing you think of is water slides. Well, when I think of a water slide, I don't think of water. Or when I go to water parks, I don't think of water slides. I think of the lazy river. And I don't know if you know what a lazy river is, but if you think about, you know, a park that has a bunch of different water slides dotted around, there is this small man-made river about 2 feet deep and maybe about, you know, 20 feet wide that winds around the the park, and it's filled with inner tubes. They just put it in the water, and there's a current, and you just sit in that inner tube, and there's inner tubes of all different sizes. There's like the traditional inner tube, just like a donut, but then there's like a figure-8 one, and then maybe they'll have some like foam noodles in there, and all kinds of crazy stuff in different colors. And it's really great because unlike most theme parks where you're on roller coasters or you're getting food, when you're not doing anything, you're stationary and you're stopped. That's not the case at a water park. If you've done some water slides and you know you need a rest, you don't have to get out the ride. Get in a lazy river. There's no line. Get in an inner tube. You know, maybe latch up with a couple friends and make your own like little island, and you all float together. They usually have speakers on the banks playing music, and you know just chat away. And when you're recovered, get back out there and do the big rides. So the lazy river has always been my favorite part of a water park. If we were all rich, I'd suggest everyone have one around their house. They're just really cool. So in the spirit of summer and in the spirit of the lazy river, we're going to be playing a game which is very much based around the lazy river, and it's called Tubin. This was originally an arcade game. Was this made by Midway? Yes, it's made by Midway. And it's not the best arcade game, but the charm of Tubin is you don't see a lot like it. And it's basically a guy in shades and swim trunks in an inner tube, and he's going down a river. And what kind of stuff does he get into? It's really kind of in the same vein of Paperboy. You know, how fun can a guy delivering papers be? Well, it's the world he's going through that makes it fun. And that's what we're going to experience. Now, I have to admit, I have not played a lot of Tubin for the Game Boy Color, and that's why I picked it. Another reason I picked it is the nice thing about this version is it does allow you to continue. And this being an arcade game, these games can get a little taxing. So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to get in that inner tube, and we're going to sail off to adventure here on the Gaming Galleon. Let's do it. Oh, allow me to send us off to Colorado. Oh, for God's sake. Alright. Tubin! Let's do it! Oh, I sure hope the volume's up on this. Oh. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So, it's... Oh, jeez. Now, you see these little cans here. You do have a little defense. Wow, this is some crazy directional action here. I'm having to, like, slide left and right. Like, press right, like, 8 times to get this guy to turn around. I don't know what... Whoa, 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 I'm in so deep. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Oh, God. Now, I believe you just have to go through these for points. And it's to Class 2. Class 2, huh? I wonder what's going on in there. Now, there's some foliage there. I'm using the cans to get rid of it. I don't know what's going on in here, but, you know, why not, right? Probably because I'm going to get utterly destroyed in there. But let's do it. Into the whirlpool. Oh, geez, we're in the Yukon. Wow. I don't feel dressed for this. Not at all. Alright, come on, baby. I don't know what's shooting at me. What is that? Is that an Eskimo? What? I don't understand what the problem is. Wow, Class 3? There's another one? I almost want to go in there. Alright, we're going to go in there. Whoa, 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 yeah. And wherever land we end up, we're sticking to it. Jurassic. Is that a world? Is that a country? I'm not familiar with that place. How timely, though. With the new Jurassic movie coming out. Oh, that's dating the situation, isn't it? So, this game was pretty fun in that you didn't see, like I said, you didn't see a lot like it. And if you notice, there's a second window there. I don't know what this is. Unfortunately, I looked up the instruction manual for this. It's nowhere. It's literally nowhere to be found. I mean, I admit I didn't, you know, spend all night researching. But, you know, I went to my usual haunts to track down at least some info on Tubin. Oh, my God. Oh, God, this controls. Okay, there we go. I couldn't find it. Is that a dinosaur? Oh, that's beautiful. This is cool. I can't believe he's time traveling. That's pretty neat. But in the arcade, it was 2-player, and you can make it 2-player. That's what that red window's for. I'm gonna get you, dude. So I gotta get through this thing. Am I out of cans? Oh, geez, I'm out of cans. There we go. I don't even know where we're at with health here. As you can see, I'm going into this one blind, and I felt it was necessary because there's not too much to do in Tubin. You know, this is kind of a game of racking up score. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. And just finding where you can go. I mean, I had no idea there were... I'm like wasting cans. I gotta get that 6-pack. You're not really sure where you're gonna go. It's a game... Oh... I thought, you know, it looked like I could fly over that guy. Or travel under him. I was incorrect. I was very incorrect in that assumption. Okay, here we go. Give me that. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, jeez. Oh, why is it... The current is killing me. You get points to go through these, and that's why I'm doing it. And another reason that I picked this one over the other versions of Tubin is there's no timer, so you can kind of just lazily trek down the river and see what you come across. And I think I've seen that dinosaur 3 times. And I also haven't seen any way out of Jurassic. Oh, I thought he wasn't going to hit me. I really didn't think so. I'm going to get past him. Frankly, I'm having a hard time finding the real objective here, because there are points, but I don't know if this is like one-hit wonder stuff. This is probably one-hit wonder. I was looking for a health bar. I don't know what that is. Is that a microchip? Is it worth my time? Let's check it out. Oh, I can't get over there. Oh, I took the wrong way. Alright, fair enough. You can't pick up all the treasure. Alright. And, you know, this is Game Boy Color, so... yeah. Talk about blocky. But, it plays alright. For what it is, I don't know. It's definitely taken some getting used to using the D-pad to move the tube around. And I don't even think I can reverse. Yes, press start to continue. I have 5 credits. So, geez. Here's hoping I don't need them all. Or, even more so, here's hoping I don't use them all before the show's over. Because, I mean, what am I going to do? Soft shoe? Come on, baby. Can you imagine 2 people hooking up their Game Boy Colors and playing a game like this? I mean, I had a hard time finding someone to play 2-player with me in the arcade. And I think the arcade one came together a little better. I can understand why they didn't time this one. Again, it turns more into less into endurance and more just like kind of a lazy trek. You're not hitting me with that. And I don't even know what you are. Are you a caveman? You're a caveman and you're throwing torches at me. That's exactly what's happening there. Frankly, I'm having a hard time deciphering our inventory. It looks like I have like a meatloaf up there. I don't know what that is, and okay, so that oh god, and I just figured out what the plus sign is in the inventory there. You see that? You see that thing that looks like a directional pad? I'm relatively sure that's my lives. So when you're thinking about playing this on a Game Boy Color and the amount of resolution and the size of the screen, that may have actually looked like an inner tube. Here it just looks like a D-pad. Looks like I have 3 D-pads left. Oh, now, okay, I can't kill the hatchets. Alright, that's good to know. And there are currents, you may be noticing. Oh! I try to get around it. I can't be playing dumb like that. There's these other power-ups that I have no idea what they could possibly be, and they're the ones that are powering the meatloaf, I believe. Let's see, does this give me meatloaf? This one's yellow. Most of them in red. I mean, what is it? This is why you need the instruction manual. That's why you find pro wrestling with the instruction manual. Pick it up. If you find Tubin with the instruction manual, let me know, because I think you may have found the crown jewels. Because it's nowhere. I mean, that's the thing, is you get into this handheld world. We're living in a world where retro's big, all games are popular, and as a result, and they've been around a while, and as a result, people are filling the internet with all kinds of questionable information. Video game manuals being one of them, which is handy, because it adds value to the experience of the game that you're playing. No! Oh, God. Come on, baby. Is that a waterfall? I believe we reached a waterfall. But in the case of these handheld worlds, it's still kind of the Wild West, because there were just so many of them, and these being handheld games, a lot of people just got rid of them. This is a waterfall. Whoa! All right, that was lovely. I like that there was actually a different animation. Hatchet. Hatchet. Hatchet can't kill hatchets. It makes you wonder, just... I'm telling you, in my opinion, the D-pad is a little, it's reversed from what I would need it to be. I'm the kind of guy who plays games inverted. I use inverted controls. I know that's, one of the biggest controversies in gaming is what's the point of inversion and who's using it. I'm one of those guys. Oh, wow, that's rough. I gotta admit though, I'm kind of having fun. So we're gonna go one more credit with Tubin. I don't know if you're having fun, but I am. Oh, first mate Bismuth coming in.
Aye.
Hey, do you need anything? We're just playing Tubin here.
Oh no.
Okay, great. All right, so oh, I don't know what these honeypots are, and I sure wish I did. I'm not even seeing my inventory change when I pick it up. I mean, maybe it's just point bonus. Let's go get that black one and see what happens. And I'm starting to get the controls now. I'm starting to get away from inversion, my inverted thinking. Yeah, that is points. Okay. All right, so that's good to know. I don't know that there are free guys here. Oh. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, well, I'm being told that we're not getting any game sound at the moment, and I'm not sure. To be honest, we forgot to check, and I don't have any headphones on me, so I don't know if we're getting sound. So what we may have to do here is I'll play a little. I almost want to come back and do the booty segment just to keep us going. But then again, I'm really enjoying being in an inner tube at the moment. Oh, watch the hatchet. And I don't know if this is fun for you, but it's kind of fun for me. And I'd really like to see when the Jurassic period ends, and I feel like it's got to be soon, right? Or at least change into an... I mean, how far do you have to travel down a river to change... Ah! There we are, the Black Forest. We made it. All right, so let's get out of Tubin for now, and we'll get into the booty segment. And we need to travel back. We'll stick here at the Black Forest for now, and we'll see what goes on beyond later. We'll see what lies beyond later. But for now, let's come back to the ship. And let's see what kind of loot we found this week. Okay. So I'm really excited about this one because, to be honest, I haven't even gotten my grubby little hands on some of it. I got about halfway through it and I realized, I don't think I should look at all of this on my own, right? I don't think I should open it all on my own. I think we should do that as a crew. And that's what we're going to do today. So there isn't much story here. Sometimes you get lucky. And I happened to get lucky one morning. I was out of the thrift store, and they have some bags at thrift stores sometimes. And there you go. And when you're using, and they have bags. They'll put stuff in a plastic bag. So this can be anything. It can be like stuffed animals. It can be like Pez dispensers. It can be absolutely, I don't know, whatever. It can be, I think I've seen like old phone cords in these bags. And the pricing is literally written on a piece of paper like with a crayon. Okay? So you never know what you're getting into, but that's the thrill of the hunt, isn't it? You never know what you're going to find when you walk into these joints. And this time, I think we walked away pretty successfully. In the cabinet they had 3 bags, and the first bag had a Game Boy Advance and some pretty forgettable games, to be honest. It was like sports, like some sports games. There was a Tony Hawk game, Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. These are all games you could get for like $2 easily in most retro game stores. And then the Game Boy Advance wasn't even backlit. It was like the original model, and it was pink. I mean, come on. I don't know that I necessarily need to get a pink Game Boy. I think I have enough. And then we're asking $15. That's a lot. However, I had 2 other bags. Let's take a look at them. So this one I actually opened because I was pretty excited about it. And in the bag, this is what we found. Can you see it? No? Great. Take it out of the bag, you idiot. Alright. And they had this marked for... Oh boy. Oh boy, it's crayon. Let me get around here. Does that say? There you go. 1024. 1021? Is that a 1? We'll call it a 1. $10 for the following stuff in the bag here. So first of all, they had this. This is a Game Boy Color, and I know what you're thinking. You know, Game Boy Color's cares. If you're a Pokemon fan, you're probably gonna care, and if you're a collector, you're definitely gonna care, because these are actually probably the least common Game Boy Color out there. I don't know that I've ever even seen one of these for sale. That's not to say they aren't out there. I've just never even in a retail store have I seen this. So to pick this up for $10 is a pretty good find. It's got the battery backup. It's in relatively nice condition. The back's a little beat up, you know, but I'm not really going to complain. And you got the Jigglypuff there, Pika. Interesting colored buttons. This is really, as far as Game Boy Advance game colors go, or Game Boy Colors go, I believe this one's the most sought after. And again, I've never seen this one. In the machine itself, it's got Donkey Kong Land 2. That's pretty cool. I really haven't. The only Donkey Kong Country I personally ever played was the original. Even then I felt like it was a little too derivative. I was kind of on my way out with platformers at that point. But it's a strong title, I'm sure, on its own. What else do we have here? Just pull them all out. So that was the Game Boy Color and a game so far, and then there's 4 other games that came with it. First one here. This is like, you see this everywhere for pretty much every system, especially PlayStation. God, how many Froggers have I passed on for the PlayStation 1? They're everywhere. You know, it's Frogger, whatever. It's Frogger. Okay, this is NBA Jam, or NBA 3-on-3, Kobe Bryant. I, like many collectors, am not a big fan of sports games. There are just so many out there. If I'm going to play a sports game, it'll probably be something on the NES. That's not to say I wouldn't play something if someone sat me down and said, hey dude, will you play this sports game with me? I'll play pretty much every game anyone puts in front of me. Especially if you're playing together. You know, it's about the experience together. But, am I excited to find a sports game? Never. Again, and you know, just to belabor the issue, we have All-Star Baseball 2. 2000. I don't know who that is on the cover. They weren't nice enough to write, you know, his name like Kobe Bryant's game. So who knows? And he's certainly flexible. Yeah, alright. Finally we have, this is actually cool. Game Boy, or Pokemon Gold, which I did not have. I did play this, I almost want, every time I bring up Pokemon, I'm like, I played that as a college student. Yeah, I wasn't a kid when I played Pokemon. There were a couple of jackasses running around the campus like me, with a beer in one hand and an old Pokemon game in the other. And this one was great because this was a sequel to Pokemon. The first ones were Blue and Red. First game Pokemon ever to come out. Excellent games. They made a kind of Game of the Year edition called Yellow with Pikachu on it. And then they made Gold and Silver. And Gold and Silver, I'm not usually into sequels, but Gold and Silver really upped the ante in that it had an internal clock. And what that meant was this is the first time where you had to stay up past your bedtime and you know, get a flashlight and hide under the covers after Mom tucks you in to get those nighttime Pokemon, or you have to get up late, up really early in the morning to get those lame Pokemon that actually want to be up at that time. So that was cool. I would say, again, 3 of these games, who cares? 2 of these games are, certainly Gold is a lot of fun, and I don't know if it saves. Who knows? I haven't tried. I basically put these in the box. I pulled this out of the bag, but then I was like, let's analyze it when we're back at the ship. And then this is really, I'm really excited about this because you never see these, and it's a pretty cool little system. And I'm usually not big on hardware variants, but the Game Boy variants I'm cool with because they just take up so little space, and they're pretty. So this is cool, and I assume... Alright, I didn't put batteries in this, so who knows if it works. Again, I don't know. I could get back to you, I guess, if you care, which you probably don't. So, third bag, sitting right next to the Game Boy Advance bag and the Pokemon Color bag, was the third bag. And this bag I haven't opened. That's not to say I don't know what's in it, because these are plastic bags after all. But I decided to just keep it closed and we'll look at it now. Here it is. You're not going to believe this. Let's just take a look in there. Let's just glance. Let's just take a little turnaround, take a little tour. We see some plastic, we see some gray. Then we come back around. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Another one? Sitting right next to each other? I'm telling you, you don't find these. You don't see them. You never see them. I don't know a single person who has one. I've never seen a salesman trying to sell one off. You look on eBay, they're there, sure. Everything's there. But I don't see these in a room. I've never been in a room with one. And here I am, staring at them through the glass. 2 of them, right next to each other. For, again, the same price. $10.21. And we've got some games in here, too. So let's open her up. Let's open her up. We'll take a look. We'll get the Pokemon, the other one. Well, we'll keep it up. We'll keep it up, because I'm a slob. Let's take a look at this bag when we open it up here. Get out the jaws of life. Alright, first of all, who cares, but the fact that I don't have one, and these were such a ridiculous phenomenon back then, I kind of actually like having it. And since I didn't really have to pay anything additional for it, I'll take it. It's a Mad Catz screen magnifier. See if I can get that on there. I don't want to bore you. In fact, you know what? You know what? This is not for the Game Boy Color. Looking at it here, looking at it there, the tops are different. So this is probably for the Game Boy Advance bag. I'm guessing this is for a Game Boy Advance, and it's got a light. So you can light up your Game Boy Advance, which is nice because these things are backlit. 95% of the time these things were terrible, even when there was no backlit screens. I can only imagine how useless it is now. And the fact that I'm sitting here with 2 Game Boy Colors and no Game Boy Advance makes it even more useless. So again, but that's why I don't want to open the bag, you know, because who knows what's in there. Who knows how things are really going to shake out when you're actually touching this stuff. Let's look at the Game Boy Color. Another one of these. I can't be more excited about it. They're in used condition, to be sure. But the great thing is these being later model Game Boy Colors. And I was looking in the bag and I'm like, you know, there's no like all this Pokemon stuff, but there's no connector cable. Well, you know what? These don't need them. You see those black those black spots there? That's infrared technology, baby. That's the future. So you just put it like that with your friend, or maybe probably not even that, like that. You know, sit across the table from one another. You know, play footsie, and you're trading Pokemon. That's great. It's like I'm ready to go. If anybody wanted to play 15-year-old Pokemon games with me. Right. So, in the Pokemon game here, this one had Donkey Kong Land. The other one, and look at that, it's even matching quite well, is the first Pokemon game I personally played, which was Pokemon Blue. There were 2 Pokemon games to start. There was a red one and a blue one. The blue one had the red one had a dragon on it, and the blue one had a turtle. Don't ask me why I went with the turtle. Most people went with the red. I think it just had some friends that were doing red and whatever. So this is great, and I don't have it. But this was a game I played all the way through as a college student, and moved on to gold. And now I have them back again. It's pretty cool stuff. And again, did they save? Who knows? You never know with Pokemon. Am I going to go through the trouble of soldering in a new battery for this? Probably not. But it's neat to see the picture. I probably not. I definitely won't. I would melt myself. We don't want to melt ourselves. Let's look at the rest here. Actually, let's go here. Pokemon Red. Pokemon Red. We're talking about the dragon. There he is. I'm calling him a dragon. People are probably pulling their hair out at the moment. I believe that's Charizard. That may be up to interpretation. No, it's got to be. Charizard's the only one with wings, right? I'm right on that, right? Third evolution, he grows the wings? Yeah. So there you go. For whatever reason, this one's in a little more demand than the blue. Not by much, but it's always noticeable that it is. It's kind of like, why red? Why is everyone so into red? And it's probably just because Charizard's on it. That's all I can say. And then finally, not finally, but continuing on, in the same bag, for $10, we had the blue, we had the red, and to round it out, you got to be kidding me, we've got the Pikachu edition. And again, this is the game. This is these were the first 2, and then you had the game. Basically, you know, to use current contemporary terminology, the Game of the Year edition. Okay, and basically, I don't know that this. I don't know all the variants on it. I really don't. I didn't have this one. At that point, I was like, you know what, dude? I've already got blue. It's enough. I'm already trading with friends. I don't need a second version of the same game. And it is the second version, or the same game. It's got basically the same world geography. I don't know what you're talking about in the way of what kind of Pokemon you can get, if there are ones exclusive. The only real noticeable change that I know of to this game, in comparison to these 2, is Pikachu himself travels around behind you as you explore the world of... I always get them confused. I think it might be Kanto for this one, but don't quote me. Anyway, so yeah, now you've got Pikachu with you, right out of the box. Usually I had to search around for him, which was always weird. You're like, dude, I just bought Pokemon. Why don't I have Pikachu right out? Like, I think you're almost like 10 hours into this before you finally find a Pikachu. Now you don't have to. So that was cool. A couple more games here. Pokemon Silver. Pokemon Silver. So, I mean, if we're putting it all together, when we're talking original Game Boy, the original Game Boy generation, that's it. That's all of them. Unless I'm forgetting one. I mean, yeah, no, I think once Color came out, that's when they had Crystal. I suppose you could include Crystal, but again, these are original Game Boy. Crystal's when was Game Boy Color. So, pretty cool to get them all 5 of them together. In addition to, I mean, it's like kind of like for a first time, like when Pokemon first came out, this is like the ultimate set. And then finally, one more game, very good game I would suggest to anyone, whether you're playing on a retro, a system on your console that plays Game Boy games, or if you have a Game Boy sitting around, Donkey Kong. This is not the arcade version. This is exclusive to the system. A lot of replay value. It's basically if you try to combine the original Donkey Kong arcade with the length of Super Mario Brothers. Very fun. I believe it's even got a battery backup. In fact, I'm sure of it. So you don't have to do it all in one sitting. This has got to be one of the best, in terms of value, got to be one of the best experiences on the Game Boy Advance. I'm not a huge Donkey Kong fan, but I am a huge fan of this one. So You know, what am I saying? I played Donkey Kong and Smash Brothers. I'm probably a pretty big fan of his. What can I say? I love that big ape. So there we go. There we have it. Let's get the chest here. Let's get the chest. Take a look at everything we had here. We've got two very, very hard to find Game Boy Colors in relatively nice condition. Who knows if they work? I'm guessing they do. They're Nintendo products. They're, you know, pretty durable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon games. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. What did that come out to? About 22 bucks, 21 bucks plus tax. I'm pretty happy with that. So there you have it. Again, that's the hunt. You never know what you're going to find out there. You can drive by, you can sail by to the next port, or you can roll the dice. All right. I almost don't want to do this because I'm really torn with Tubin. Let me put it that way. This is a game that I kind of went in with blind. It felt like it, you know, being the summer season, this would be a good game, and it's okay. I'm kind of realizing that playing Tubin without a timer almost breaks it, and I don't know if we have sound back, so that would somewhat break it as well. But you know, you got to keep moving down the current. Okay, you can't stop. That's what it is about life. Okay, if life gives you obstacles, you just got to barrel through them. Much like the inner tube guy is doing in Tubin, especially when I'm controlling him. So let's get back to it. We'll play a little bit more, and then we'll come back for our mailbag segment, and then we'll set sail to the horizon. Okay, without further ado, and I don't understand. I realize this is not that popular of a show. I'm one of the smaller ships in the fleet, and I'm okay with that, but for whatever reason, people tell me they like this, the harp. And if the crew likes it, I certainly don't want a mutiny on my hands. So, there you go, there's the harp. Let's head back to the Black Forest. Alright. Tubin! And I'm totally going to get turned around with the controls again. I blame GoldenEye. GoldenEye, I believe, is the first game, and Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront. Jeez, that was really the games where I got crazy into inversion out of the box. Certainly Battlefront, and since now this is not the right example because we're not really playing a first-person, a 3D game here. So it's like how could this possibly be inverted? But I would actually you have to press left and right to turn our friend here. So I'm kind of turning him degree by degree. You have to press left or right. Well, I know this seems strange, but like it makes sense the way they did it. You press left and his feet head left. Oh, is that a dragon? What was that? Where are we? The Black Forest? That's got to be a wizard. Oh, that's awesome. Now you know what? I'll tell you what. I didn't play all of Tubin in the arcade, but I'm willing. From what I remember, they didn't have this level of strangeness. And this is Midway all over, because you know we're talking about. You look at this game on paper, and it's like some jackass going down the river in shades, and you're like, well, this couldn't possibly be that great. But hey, let's throw some dinosaurs in. You know, let's throw some wizards in there. I mean, what? You know, this is a video game. Let's again, the inversion. I'm totally blaming that on inversion, and not my bad skills as a gamer. I'll leave that decision. I'll leave that judgment to the rest of you. And Paperboy is another example. Like, I'm delivering papers. Like, why would I spend a quarter playing this game? But then it's like, oh, okay. There's haunted houses that I can... Whoa, it's a dragon! Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Dude, I'm a guy in swim trunks! Come on! Who's throwing the kitchen sink at me here? Woo! I got through it. Whoa, 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 whoa! I gotta give him credit. I did not expect... Where is this? Is that a castle? This is great! I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a sucker for medieval stuff. As far as I know, there aren't swim trunks and sunglasses in the Elder Scrolls series, so, you know, they've already outgeared, Bethesda. How many credits do we have left? 3? How lucky for you, huh? Yeah. We won't play them all, but I gotta tell you, I'm actually having a blast. Oh no, are we leaving the Black Forest? I've realized that these canals are the transition to the next world. I can't... Jurassic was so... The Rio Grande. The Jurassic Park was huge, and I only get to fight one dragon. What is that? The Rio Grande. Here we are. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, this reminds me of an old sea shanty. I don't really know it. But they actually say not the Rio Grande, but the Rio Grande. And, you know, looking at the... looking at how it's spelled, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I don't know where... Oh, dude, okay, alright, I'm in. I'm in like Flynn, because I didn't realize we're dealing with cowboys. This isn't just... This is awesome. I cannot believe they put... Now, I don't know about you, but any game that has time travel, I'm instantly on board with. And I would have never expected in a million years that in 10 minutes down this river I would see brontosauruses, oh, jeez, wizards. Ugh! I expected the bad controls. No, I didn't really. I thought I'd be good enough to work through it. And you know, and rootin' it, tootin' it's cowboys here. Get out of there! Oh God, those stupid. I don't even know why I'm going through them. Like they were these. I'm like used to going for these flags because they were so essential in the arcade game. You would get time by going through those. It's like if you want to save, hey, look, if you don't want to pop another quarter in, you better be going for those flags, dude. I'm gonna get this honey pot. Does anyone have any idea what this could be? I mean, maybe gold. Like now that I've seen all these weird areas, I mean, who knows? Like logic has been utterly thrown out the window. You know, Spock's rolling in his grave at the moment. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry on that one. Is that a beach ball? Now, I'm going to guess that's a free guy. What do you think? Let me, let's see. Now, I'm looking at the plus. No. I don't know what that was. I have no idea. You know, I still don't know what that third thing in my inventory is. You've got lives, which is supposed to be an inner tube, but it looks like a cross. You've got cans, which, you know, that makes sense. There you go. Have a Coke on me. You gotta love a game where you don't really kill anything. You make them see stars. That's gotta be a free life. That's gotta be a free life. Oh, yes! Got it. It's not a free life. It's one of the X's, and I don't know what the X is. I'm just gonna do the old jam all buttons here, and see what I come up with. Nothing. I mean, there's only 3. I'm playing this on an NES controller, so how many buttons can there be? I felt like the NES controller is the way to go for Game Boy Color because, you know, as we saw earlier, Game Boy Color, it's got 3 games on it, or 3. It's got, you know, 2 buttons and then a start and select button. So it's basically the same controller. So it's cool. You know, it's good that we can do that. Whoa, hey now. Oh, and for anyone caring, anyone wondering, like, how's he playing, you know, a Game Boy Color with an NES controller? The navigator on the ship we have rigged up is a Retron 5. And they're controversial systems to be sure, especially in the collector community. But for you guys out there who live in a place where you can find these cheap games, these cheap old games, you know, drop the 140. I don't regret it a bit. You know, we did it here for we dropped it for the sake of the Y&L fleet. It was going to be a little easier for us to get games like this on. And for those of you who aren't into filling your whole house with, you know, 9 N64s, this may be the way to go. Well, okay. I picked the one system the Retron 5 doesn't play. But, yeah. Okay, so I almost want to get... I think we're going to get to the end of the Rio Grande. I'm really curious as to see what's next. But I'm not going to... I think we're done. I think we've seen what to... Well, we don't really... We haven't... Whoa, what? Hey! There's some rapids there. We haven't really seen everything it has to offer. I mean, I don't know where this place is going to end up. We could be sailing to the Betty Ford Clinic for all I know here pretty soon. Okay, but here we are. We're at the end of the Rio Grande. Let's see where we go to next, just because I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight if I don't know. And then we'll wrap it up. Another nice feature about this game is it actually saves your high score, which with this game, who would think they would devote a battery just to save the high score for this? But whatever. Am I right on that? Where'd the Retron go? I could be wrong on that. I might be thinking about another game. Sorry. We were just looking at those other Game Boy games. Maybe I saw it there. But anyway, let's see what the next level is, and then we'll wrap up Tubin. We've made our way down the lazy river enough. Mars Canals? Are you out of your mind? We're not even on a planet anymore. Wow. Wow. There's an alien. Look at him. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can kill me. We're done. We're on our way out. Give my best to your mother up there on the red planet. That was Tubin. I gotta tell you, the first couple minutes that we were playing Tubin, I was like, what have I done? Never again am I playing a blind game. And it wasn't that I played it blind. I actually sat down with it when I got it one day. It was a random game among some other games that I got. I'm a fan of Tubin, the original. Not a huge fan, but I like it. I wanted to see what the Game Boy Color had to offer. And the 5 minutes I played of it, I was like, okay, this is competent enough. You know. I was regretting that 5 minutes in, but now I'm not. I mean, who knows where they're going next year? The Mars Canal? Alpha Centauri? I don't even know where Alpha Centauri is. Thank you for putting up with that. Thank you for riding the choppy waters with me. Let's get to the mailbag, shall we? What is this? Okay. Let's get to the mailbag, shall we? Got some stuff in here. Plastic bags. Paper towel. Game Boy Advance plug. Bill. Here we go. Okay, we got some mail. Alright, this, let's see where this comes from. This is, Scottsdale, Arizona, from Veruba. Okay. I wonder if you go through Scottsdale, Arizona in Tubin. Who knows? I mean, we went through class. The first class was... Can I shut up about this game already? I'm sorry. Veruba. Dear Cap and Raz and the Game & Galleon, why is it that PlayStation 4 games and PlayStation 3 games can't be played together online? I can see my friends on PS3 and can send them messages and can make chats with them, but we can't play games like The Last of Us and Grand Theft Auto 5 together. Why is this? Well, I'm far from an engineer. I'm just a lowly ship's captain on a barnacle-encrusted ship. So I can't give you the actual reasons. All I can do is give you the reasons of perhaps a jaded old sailor. I think it really just comes down to business. To be able to do that, believe it or not, as much as games like The Last of Us look and play relatively about the same from system to system, you are in many ways, especially when it comes to multiplayer gaming, kind of starting from the ground up. I believe you have to have different servers. A lot of that probably has to do with new added features in these pieces of hardware. And while it probably can be done, there's history of games doing it. Our old friend First Mate Business, a big fan of Shadowrun, and I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy XI. These are examples of games where the PC community and the Xbox 360 community could play together. In fact, even PlayStation 2, you could play Final Fantasy XI with Xbox 360 players and PC players. And I was a personal witness to that. So even back then, it was possible. Is it possible today? Most likely. Is it cost effective? Is it going to help these companies with their business model, which is to get the new hardware out there and to sell the new software? I don't know that it would. If anything, it would probably keep a lot of consumers sticking with the older hardware. And that's not what these companies necessarily want you to do. They got to make that money back that they've invested into this new technology. A fine example of this is backward compatibility. There was a time when, PlayStation 3 is a fine example. We have a system that plays PlayStation 3 games, and believe it or not, plays PlayStation 1 games. Any PlayStation 3 plays PlayStation 1 games. It was just an added benefit because PlayStation 1 was on a CD-based disc. There's even some PlayStation 3s out there that have PlayStation 2 capability. So you could play every PlayStation game ever made up until the PS4, all on one system. Talk about a deal. But eventually they did away with PlayStation 2 capability on PlayStation 3s. Again, it wasn't cost effective. And there was a time back in the 80s when it was almost unheard of, the 90s I should say, when it was unheard of to release a system that didn't come with at least one video game. But then the PlayStation came out and started that precedent. When's the last time you saw a box, a PlayStation box, PlayStation 1 box, that said, included in this box, Crash Bandicoot? No, you don't see that. So this is just the way the tides are rolling these days. Things like this is going to happen, and it's our decision as gamers. Do we stick with the systems that have treated us right, or do we set them sail and turn them in for a new ship? Now, personally, I'm okay with a couple barnacles on my hull. So thank you, Veruba, very much for the question. If you would like to ask the Gaming Galleon a question, please leave it at gaminggalleon@gmail.com or anywhere among the YNL network and among the Bismuth 83 fleet. If you write it somewhere, someone's probably going to get it to me. We're a pretty tight-knit group. So that's it. I think we've learned a lot today. I don't know that we've learned much about business, but we learned the dark side of what both the consumer and the owner can do when it comes to gold, when it comes to that doubloon. We learned that inner tubes are apparently interstellar vehicles. Who knew? And we learned that business is business. And choppy waters or not, we're going to sail them. So thank you very much for coming to the Galleon. And until next time. Farewell and adieu to ye fair Spanish maidens. Farewell and adieu, ye ladies of Spain. For we received orders for to sail back to the Red Planet. And lo, nevermore shall we see ye again. You know, they said this was watered down. I'm pretty sure this is just water.